Welcome back to OPTCG Central, your hub for all things One Piece card game related. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. It really helps us bring you more One Piece TCG matches and more.
It looks absolutely, I just can't wait.
There's the fist bump. Taj, we're rolling in top cut. We're rolling in top 32. We've got Anvi, well, the names are the wrong way around, I believe, right now, as our...
No,
they're not.
the
We
right
good?
way. Yep,
oh, I
Anvi,
apologize. I'm an idiot. Right, let's get rolling. Turn one, Atama there from Will. And, well, you get to draw some cards because your leader is dual-colored.
Yeah, absolutely. Synergy there with, obviously,
Life.
Atama and Ace being such good friends from the land of Wano. So, yes, Atama doing some good action for the first turn there, being able to get some extra cards in hand, indeed.
And Anvi does get that turn one cost limb. That is what you're looking for as that limb player.
Absolutely. Such an important card. It does so much for you as a limb player. It's just there to make sure that you can restand one of your Odyssey characters at the end of the turn. So now, when you're going to be using that leader ability and cheating out extra Odyssey cards, which obviously all cards get played rested, you'll be able to use this ability of this limb to be able to reactivate and make sure that they're not vulnerable to attacks from this Ace deck, especially with that 6,000 power Ace leader, which can deal with things quite easily.
Very important. We see the monkey that you do see the monkey to Garp coming down. Let's go and grab any card that is a free cost or higher. Only works if you've got an Ace Sabo or Luffy leader, but you do, so you're good. Turns out there was an Atmos that we grabbed. Oh, and then an Izzo as well. So many good one-cost searches in this Ace deck. Izzo goes and gets a Whitebeard Pirate. So between Atama drawing cards, Garp searching, Izzo searching, big consistency boost in the first couple of turns from Will there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Izzo also has a secondary function as well. When your opponent does attack, you can trash it and get to draw a card, potentially giving you an extra counter in hand. And this is where this Ace deck is so powerful. There's so much draw power with it, especially when your characters get KO'd as well. It's just really, really powerful.
It is. We see a 6k swing on the limb leader here, which is just countered out with that Uta. So tentative swing, make your opponent waste some resources. Now we're using some, and we're going for the Sabo. And if you're thinking, hang on a second, you didn't have enough Don to play that Sabo, remember that the limb leader skill lets you rest 3 Don, add a Don card from your Don deck rested, and play an Odyssey card of a cost of 5 or less from your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Sabo is going to be really, really imperative going forward, because when it does attack, if you've got 3 or more rested character cards, it does let you draw a card. So essentially, you will use... you will cheat out another character, swing with your characters that you got on board, and then when you swing with Sabo, it lets you get that extra draw, which is really important in a deck like Lim. Gives you that consistency, able to have that power of extra cards in your hand as well. So you're really useful indeed.
Absolutely. Well, down does come that Atmos that we searched for a moment ago. Lets you reveal a couple of Whitebeard Pirates cards, and then you get to return a 4 cost or lower to your opponent's hand. Which, are we doing that? I mean, presumably, you go for the limb here, right? You might not have the cards to show. Either way, it does look like we got some Don on Ace, and we are swinging, but we're countering out there nice and easily with Nami, and then we're passing over. Worth noting, we haven't said it out loud yet, that Lim does have a downside to the leader, whereby all of your characters come into play rested. It's why so many of these Odyssey cards have restand abilities.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, your perfect synergy is if you can get that Doflamingo out, which allows, if you've got 2 or more rested characters, restand itself. You've got the 3-cost Lim as well, which at the end of your turn, if you've got 3 or more rested characters, set this character as active. So if you sequence everything correctly, now you've got the Sabo on board that you can potentially bring out the Lim and the the Doflamingo if you've got it, and restand everything, which is so good. Having that 1-cost Lim on the board really does help.
That does make a big difference here. So we're eyeing up some Don. We're having a little bit of a think if we're Ambi here. Your 12 siege or the highest siege, you've got the choice of first or second. So this first game becomes so important. If you lose, out we go. We have a little bit of a swing with Lim.
Yeah, that is obviously to get a rested character.
Absolutely.
Now. So then the Sabo, when it does attack, if he does get those characters on board now,
you get to draw.
Yeah,
but it's just weird seeing a swing for nothing. So his opponent kind of like jokingly
Yeah.
like, well, I'll counter with nothing.
So he's obviously played the limb now for 1 to get another rested character. Going to use the leader ability at some point here as well, obviously.
Right now we have a 6k swing from the leader. Of course, one of the things about Ace, it is a 6k leader, so every swing you go for has to be at least minimum 6k, but we are going to just counter, well, no, we're going to use Ace's skill to discard Iron Whitebeard to get that 2k bump. It's not technically a counter, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, swinging with the Sabo, and obviously once you swing with the Sabo, it's counted as a rested character. The 2 limbs and Sabo mean that he could draw a card, and that's why Umvi played that limb and swung with that 1-cost limb at 4-0, just to be able to get that extra card draw, and then we'll be able to restand one of those at the end of this turn. But
Here comes
first,
Mihawk.
uses Mihawk to be able to restand that Sabo and get another 8k swing in. Really putting the pressure here on Will early on, because one thing that Ace has is card advantage in hand, and if you can really pressure them early on and force cards out of hand by going that extra 2k above the leader's base power, you really are doing a great job trying to defeat this Ace deck early on. Already got him down to 2 life, which is really good, and now really forcing that extra counter and having to use an Ezo now to try and find another counter into hand. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Gonna have to have something. No,
Yeah,
life
ooh,
is
this is
taken.
Yeah, really good start by Anvi here now.
And it's all about that Mihawk. That Mihawk coming in, restanding one of your characters. It means you can whack Don on the Sabo, get a big swing, but then restand it, and you get double duty of that attached Don. Always huge in One Piece if you can attach Don and then get multiple swings with that character with the attached Don. That's what Mihawk gives you here. And like you say, Anvi just really putting the pressure on with Lim. If you're cheering for an underdog, you're cheering for Anvi and Lim here.
Yep.
But right now, and it looks like we are,
Yeah.
just restanding what we're able to at the end of our turn and passing over.
Yeah, no, fantastic. They're using those 2 limbs to be able to restand both the Sabo and the Mihawk to be able to do some more serious damage next turn. Both those are 6k base power, which matches up with the opponent's leader, which is fantastic for Anvi. And obviously next turn does have the ability to be able to ramp again and cheat out another character with that wonderful leader ability as well. So I think we're going to see the limbs being targeted now by these Garp and Atama, as we thought.
So Atama with 0 power, tie goes to the attacker, so 0 power against 0 power totally works. So Atama and Garp, generally just used for draw and search, are able to remove those limbs from the board, which is kind of cool for Will Hicks. You're actually getting attacking value out of cards which are really just played for support.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Atmos here, you can do a little bit more with Atmos. You've got a 5k body, so you can start swinging into life if you so wish. Yep. Oh, first we get a Jozu. This one, you get to bounce one of your characters back, and then bounce one of your opponents. It is the Sabo getting bounced back, and then you've also got the Atama, which you can use for a little bit of draw if you like, or a 2k counter if you don't.
Yeah, no, that's really good to be able to get that Atama back into hand as a 2k counter and get rid of that Sabo, which was really important as well. Now puts Anvi down to just the Mihawk on board, but on 10 Don here gives plenty of options. Now remember, we got the OP13 Shanks that really made this limb deck so good. You literally play it for 10, but you restand all 10 Don. You can't play characters with it again, but you can still use Lim's leader ability to be able to cheat out another character.
Yeah, so you can basically play the Shanks for all your 10 Don, restand them all, use 3 of them to, play a second character using that Lim skill, but then you've got 7 active Don, and the worst case scenario here is you just attach them and get an extra 7k worth of swings between your leader and your Mihawk, which I don't think is a bad thing, Taj.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Yes, absolutely. Especially if you stick it on the Mihawk, use the leader ability to restand the Mihawk. Obviously, stick one under Lim as well to be able to get a 6k swing or maybe even a 7k swing to try and get a 2k counter from Will. This could be really important now. If you've got the Shanks in hand, this could be a game-winning situation. But does Anvi have it? That's the question.
And that's one of the things. Watching this Lim deck yesterday, watching, people playing about with it and talking about it online over the past few weeks. Since OP13 came out, we'd sometimes see the Zoro, for instance, in this deck, or the Sanji, but really it is Shanks. That is the big new addition in OP13, is that Shanks. But the fact that we're putting a Don on Lim and swinging means that if there is Shanks, you're not playing it, and I don't know why you wouldn't if you had it.
Yep.
So that must mean that Anvi hasn't hit Shanks yet. We see a counter with Garp out of that swing. And this is, I mean, I'm sorry to use the pun, but this could be a big swing in the game. This was the Shanks turn, and not having it is a bad thing.
But he does have a Mihawk in hand. I'm pretty sure I saw it, so he can still go for game here just by playing the Mihawk out. So is he going to risk it? Is he going to put the Don underneath this Mihawk, swing with it, and then potentially drop another Mihawk to be able to restand this Mihawk? I think he is going to
Looks like we
attempt
might.
to go for it.
There's a 10K swing. I think there's 4 Don there, plus a 6K base. I think there's a 10K swing.
Yeah, he's going for a 10K swing to begin with, leaving a couple of Don open. On top of the 3, he's going to need to cheat a character out.
Might be using them for event cards on his opponent's turn if this doesn't work. Kind of playing a little bit down the middle, going for game, but keeping some defensive options open just in case. Will's really having to think about this, whether he's willing to, well, give up this life or how much, because you're thinking about how many resources it's going to take. But then you're also thinking, if I counter this, is there another swing coming? How big is that swing going to come? Because it might be that you play a Mihawk and then you attach 2 more Don and have a 12K swing next time. I
think how Will reacts to this will determine what Anvi's going to do next. Anvi's just seeing what kind of counters are going to be used to get out of this 10K swing, requiring a minimum of 3 2Ks. Well, 2 2Ks and a 1K, so 3 cards minimum. So first of all, starting off with the leader effect, using the Marco.
There's a Tama, there is Yamato, so that's 5K counter. That's up to 11, which is bigger than 10.
Yep, so he has used the leader effect to use a card as a 2K counter. And now,
that's the turn. So you literally just played the Doflamingo using your limb skill, then used Doflamingo's own skill to restand at the end of your turn. And then we got 2 Don open for any events that might be needed this turn. So Anvi there went for it, but still very much leaving it open for this coming turn. Well, you really want to hit the Shanks.
But it's a smart move by Anvi there, just to make sure that, that there is another. He knows that he's not in any danger here of losing the game with 4 lives still there on this turn. So does have the ability to go a bit further, but now will have that 8-cost event in hand to be able to cheat out that big, massive 10-cost, 12,000 power Edward.
Yeah, he must have it. He used one as an A skill earlier to get a 2K bump. You don't do that if you don't have a spare. So he did that. Here we go. Here's a giant 10-cost Newgate, the one that does everything. It's a blocker. You draw 2, you trash 1, you attach 2 Don to your leader and 2 Don to one of your characters as well. So you got big swings coming. We got Jozu there getting those 2 Don going up to a 9K, plus you've now got an 8K leader swinging, and crucially that giant 12K blocker, which is going to be very hard for Anvi to get over on his next turn.
Absolutely. Chose not to use the secondary ability of that event, take a life and give your leader plus 2,000 power. Too risky at this stage, only down to 1 life. I don't want to go down to 0 life.
No.
So now deciding where that 9K swing is going to go. So decides to target that Mihawk.
Only a 6K because the Don do not give a boost on your turn, your opponent's turn, only on yours. So we're going to need 4K counter to get out of this. But it does look like we do actually have. We've got slow beam sword, and then we've also got more.
Such an important play. This card was used against Marshall D. Teach to great effect many times. But what this does is Don -1. Up to one of your leaders or characters gains 2,000 power for this battle, then rest up to one of your opponent's characters. That's what this is used for. It used to be used against the 10-cost Teach to rest that 10-cost Teach blocker. Against this ace deck, it does the same job against the 10-cost Edward Newgate, meaning that blocker's not going to be in play this turn now for Will, making this extremely difficult for Will now.
It's not going to activate until Will's next turn. And the slow beam, the counter was irrelevant. It didn't counter for enough. It was just played to rest down the Whitebeard. But it kind of feels like with that Whitebeard on the board and the potential for another one next turn, it feels like Anvi, if they're going to win, it has to be this turn. They've got to go for game here.
Yeah, let's see what happens here now. But
that is a giant swing. I think that's 6, so that would be 12K.
Only 3 cards in hand. Well, now 4 with a card from life, leader of
now we're using limb. Is this going to be for the Mihawk? It is to restand. And now we see another 12K swing here. Is there any way Will can get out? If they do, there's a very good chance they can go on and win this game. If they can't get out of it, that is game right here. So we got 12k counter onto a 12k onto a 6k leader. We need 7k worth of counter, Taj, or the game is over right here.
5 cards in hand, can't really quite make out which
one's
ones
a red rock, and that's no
that's
good
all we
here.
can see is the red rock. Red rock, has he used his leader ability last night? I don't think he did. So
No, okay, so the red rock could be 2k with a
red
leader.
rock could be a 2k counter, so does he have enough?
I'm seeing 4 cards with counter. Are there any 2ks in there?
Let's
there's
see.
an Uta there. Uta's 2k, right? Am I going crazy here?
So we start off with the 2k. We do have the Uta coming down, which is a 2k counter.
I think that's 7k. I think we did it.
With just about enough counter, but
Decimated the hand.
absolutely. But look at the state of, you don't want to be an ace player going into a turn with your opponent's got 4 life left. You really don't have enough to push for game. You're down to 1 card in hand, now 2. Really, really difficult situation here for Will. Amvi's really piled the pressure on here.
I feel like we're going to see a 16k swing with Mihawk or Doflamingo next turn, and you know but you still got that Newgate, which I mean even then they might not have enough to counter out even with the blocking with Newgate.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens here, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this next turn plays out. Again, Amvi fairly safe here.
Doesn't look like they're losing it this turn. There could be, I mean, in theory, you could see 5 swings coming, but one of them's a GARP. You've got very little in hand.
Well, this is it. And I think Will here will probably be thinking about, can I swing 5 swings and somehow win this first game by using that GARP?
Because there could be 2 11k swings from Amvi next turn. You can block one with the Newgate, and the other one, do you have enough counter? Do you have 6k counter?
Yeah, well, that first swing comes in now, and that was countered. So
no winning the game this turn.
No, not unless you've got a rush character to come out.
Which not...
if you've got a Goldie Roger in hand, potentially. But
so that would be all of your Don. Yeah,
and the way he's divvying up his Don, I don't think he's got it.
Doesn't feel like he's got the Goldie Roger. Honestly, with only 3 swings,
even with the Goldie Roger, because you still need to commit your Don to the GARP, haven't you? So yeah, it's not going to happen.
I mean, there's an argument, if there's another Newgate, maybe you can play one of them, and maybe 2 12k blockers with a small amount of countering could let you survive next turn.
Right, deals with the Mihawk. With that Jozu.
That's good. There's still 2 big swings coming next turn, though, with the leader and the Doflamingo, and you've only got 1 blocker out, so you're not out of the woods yet by any stretch.
Yep. So 9 Don available to be divvied out. Just going to go for a 6k swing with leader. Yeah, looks like it.
I'll be willing to take life. I mean, at this point, if you don't feel like you're going to lose the game...
Does he have another Iron Whitebeard? And can he... Nope.
No, he's got a Jozu.
He's going to bounce that Doflamingo back to hand. So that was a very good turn, to be fair.
Yeah, that's huge, because now there's no... You would have to play a character, and then it's just... Yeah, you'd have to play 2 characters and then a Mihawk to read. It feels like a lot to try and get 2 attacks off next turn, and you've got your big Whitebeard blocker. So it does feel like Will's played defense beautifully that turn. KO in the Mihawk, bouncing the Doflamingo with Jozu.
Yeah, having that Jozu in hand as one of your 2 cards was really, really powerful indeed. So gets another Jozu off that GARP search now and passes the turn back over to Amvi. So Amvi now in a position.
Feels like the game has swung quite a bit because you know your opponent can just Jozu bump again next turn.
Yeah, momentum goes sort of back towards...
Okay, so here's a Demon Aura, though. That's going to rest that Newgate. And then we see a giant swing with Lim, and that's enough for Amvi to take game 1 with Lim.
That Demon Aura, having that in hand, was absolutely amazing. Chef's kiss. Perfect way to finish that off. Game 1 to Lim, and it just goes to show why this Lim deck finished 12th yesterday. So powerful, so good if you can get that early momentum.
And I love what Harvey did there. Like, look, I can't deal with your 12-cost Newgate or 12k Newgate. I'm not dealing with it. I'm going to rest it with slow beam, and then I'm going to rest it with Demon Aura. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not dealing with your giant blocker. I don't have to. You can't make me.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is how the green matchup sort of works against the Ace and the Emu. It's around green's ability to be able to rest characters.
Yeah.
But in this case, we use a purple counter card from our good old friend Foxy Pirate to be able to rest down a character as a counter. So really important, especially with the Edward Newgates we have, and especially with Emu, with the ability after you play the 5 Elders to have 2 blockers on board, which are unremovable.
Yeah.
You can rest them down. If you get that early pressure and reduce your opponent to like 1 life or 2 life, you can really, really push for game and make sure that they having to use a lot of cards out of their hand to be able to counter out and survive.
Yeah, and that's what we saw. That was a real pivotal point of the game. We saw that absolutely gigantic swing from Armvi and Lim there. And Will was able to counter out of it. It took 7k. They had 7k. The problem was, by the time they'd finished, they'd managed to keep a Jozu, which was amazing. That was huge. But that was about all they'd kept.
Yeah.
And like that last turn they had, getting rid of the Mihawk, and then bouncing Doflamingo with Jozu, having that giant block, like they had done everything they could to try and stay in this game. But Army just had enough saved up that it wasn't worth it in the end. It didn't work.
And that's another point as well around, we all know that Ace's ability of whenever a 6k gets KO'd is really important about that draw power.
Yes.
And Armvi was ignoring the board.
Yep.
Was totally ignoring it because his rested characters were pseudo blockers. They were targets that Will had to get rid of. So they needed to be. So he knew his life was safe. So he's like, I don't care. I'm going to leave your characters on board. I'm not going to give you that card advantage. I'm not going to give you extra counter in hand. I'm just going to keep swinging at your life. Exactly the way to go about it. Yes, he does draw a card when he takes a card from life.
But that still feels better because you're taking out one of their life. But it still feels a lot better
because if Will's playing anything like Marco or anything else, you just don't want to be able to give him that extra. So yeah, no, absolutely well played. Well played for game 1. Now, interesting. It's going to be a bit of a struggle here, but Will does have the advantage of being on curve with the choice to go first, having the choice to go first or second this turn.
Worth noting, we never saw any Marco last game, and that's a blocker who can then draw 2 cards, so both of those are good for the card advantage and for the blocking. So maybe some more Marco in this second game could help to turn the tide just a little bit here. We did see the I Am Newgate into that big Newgate, which seemed like it was going to be so pivotal, but Armvi just had a way around it both turns where it was relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I just want to point out while we got a second, Armvi's gone for full Limdon here.
Yes.
They've gone for 10 Limdon in a Lin deck, the full art leader. I like it when players commit to their deck. I mean, in the last one I casted, I believe it was from Utrecht, we had a player who rocked up with a Gecko Moria deck. And it wasn't just Gecko Moria Don, they had a Gecko Moria hoodie and all sorts. But we're off in game 2 here. 1 Lim Don gets rested, and it is that perfect turn 1 play when you're going first, having that 1 cost Lim hitting the board.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a weird one, this, because Lim likes going first, so it's fairly comfortable. But obviously Ace likes going second, so both players pretty much getting a preferential curve here. But yeah, we do see an Izzo, so getting a nice search off early on as well.
Izzo turn 1, absolutely great. So you can go and search out a white bin, like we said before. It's got that skill as well when your opponent attacks to cycle some cards.
Yep.
We got a Jozu that was so important back in game 1. And hopefully, like, we really want to get 2 1 costs here. So if you've got a Garp or if you've got an Atama, something like that. But no, it doesn't look like it. Just the turn 1 Izzo. And then we pass over to Armvi, who's got free Don. But there aren't any good free costs in the deck.
Well, but you still use it for leader ability, which is...
Well, other than the leader ability.
No. Still cheat out of 5 costs.
And that's why I've been a bit facetious there. It's one of the reasons why it's so fun if you're going first.
Yeah.
And this is perfect. You get the turn 1 Lim.
Yeah.
And then turn 2, you get the leader ability into something like a blocker Doflamingo.
Yep.
And you feel really good.
Yeah, and you ramp and you're up to 4 Don at the end of your turn, and you've got a 5 cost character out as well. And having that Lim on board, you can restand it. Now you've got that blocker, 6k blocker on board, which is really, really important. I love the way that this Lim deck works. You know, at first you think, oh my god, all my characters come out rested, before the sort of people understood what the deck was going to do. But once you see how the mechanics work and how it's grown and improved as the sets have gone on and we've had more Odyssey cards come out, this Lim deck really is one of those that, you know, I think is underrated to a certain extent, and it can be a lot of fun to play. I've played this deck in the past, and it's a absolute really fun deck.
Agree entirely. Now, we did have a little bit of a cheeky swing there, but that was just countered out with the Charlotte Pudding. And then we've had the Lim come down, do a little bit of searching, And now we get an Enel hitting the board as well. Not one we saw last game, but if you've got 2 or more rested characters on play, draw 3, trash 2. So +1 card, but importantly, you're seeing 3 more cards, so you should be able to build your hand a little bit more to your liking. Although worth noting that Will on his turn did get the on-curve Marco.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, being able to cultivate your hand early on is so important, isn't it, in this card game? That beautiful SP limb looks stunning as well on the board. So
and
yeah.
then what we saw there was a great example of what you've been laying out all game. We had 3 characters rested, but between the 3 skills, we were able to actually get all of them active again. So the limb, when you play characters they're rested, you're completely irrelevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about the sequencing. That limb, if you've got 3 or more rested characters, restands. Doflamingo, got 2 or more rested character restands, and then that 1-cost limb restands at Enel. So yeah, wonderful. Sequencing those restands is so fantastic, and it's just so nice to see it when it fires off.
Yeah, we like it very much indeed, and yeah, that special rare is absolutely stunning. He's got a very nice, very nicely done deck here, I think it's fair to say.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about the Sabo later, because I love that Sabo. We've not got time now. Right now, we saw an ace swing that did take a life away from Umvi there. And then we're seeing Jozu hit the board. That's going to bounce the Izzo back to hand. And it's going to get that Doflamingo blocker off of the board. And it's kind of double win, because the Izzo can either be a counter, or you can play it to search out a Whitebeard later.
Yep.
And then you get rid of one of your opponent's cards, which they really want to keep on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So, does get rid of that Doflamingo, which is such an important blocker. But again, can be played back out again quite easily. And we are at a stage now where I think Amvi can use leader ability and play out another character on its own as well. But starting off with a 6k swing with the leader.
Yeah,
so
cheeky swing. You can't swing for 5, it's pointless, so you put 1 Don on there, you swing for 6. It's one of the things that makes Ace so annoying. We counter out of it with the other Jozu, and then we have an Enel swing, but we counter out of that with Uta. Worth noting, though, that Enel is a 6k swing that was countered with a 2k. You don't want to be countering 2k when 1k will do.
Yeah,
That's usually a sign your hand isn't amazing.
Yeah, does say a lot. So now we see another Enel hitting the board here. Being able to draw 3 and trash 2. So trying to find pieces that he might need here on V.
And it's so nice watching this limb against Ace when there's just a bunch of 6k bodies. So
Yeah.
you don't have to attach Don to have cheeky swings.
Yeah, absolutely. So we now see Magellan come down. This is a card very early on in Lim I was taking into my deck. People weren't using it, but I was adding this into my deck, and it is so nasty. So on play, you do a Don -1. Your opponent returns 1 Don card from their field to their Don deck. Puts your opponent 1 Don behind. And then if you're on your opponent's turn, when this character is KO'd by your opponent, by one of your opponents, return 2 Don cards from their field to their Don deck. So this is like, you don't want to swing into this. It's one of those characters, a bit like Hikanojo. It's, you can't swing into it, but it's constantly going to be doing 6k swings into your leader.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's going to be a target for someone like Jozu, potentially, if there's nothing you really need to get. But no, absolutely, it's a very annoying character. And once you're built to ramp Don, you don't mind a Don -1.
Yeah.
If your opponent isn't built to ramp Don, you can throw them off their curve, and that can be absolutely huge. They should have 8 Don to play in I Am Newgate. Oh, wait, now they've only got 7 Don. That's 1 more turn before they can play I Am Newgate, and that makes a phenomenal difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think Will would have been expecting this at this stage. So cultivated his hand to make sure he had what he needed to be able to play it on that curve. But now he's slightly off curve and having to try and formulate a different approach to dealing with this board. So that Enel gets swung into by the Jozu and is allowed to go. But now what Will decide to do here? That Marco can be a bit of a cheeky attack as well. A lot of players do decide to use that Marco to swing with, as well as keeping it as a blocker, because when it is attacked and leaves the field, you are drawing 3 cards essentially.
We've got the swing with Josie for the time being. Also worth noting that Magellan wasn't shown in game 1. So Umvi managed to drop it as a surprise in game 2. If you can pull that off, that is huge. Swing 6k, with the, sorry, 7K with the ace here.
Yep.
And that is going to go through. Things are a little bit different in game 2. Armby's going down on life faster. Ace is actually in Will. They haven't lost any life yet.
Yep. Yeah, slightly different in that sense, but having, like I said, that Magellan on board, it's going to be an extra swing every turn now, and he's probably going to leave it and not restand it. So, pretty happy to swing with it. And then the limb and the Nell could be restood as well. So, depending on what he decides to play here, Armby, if he does have a Mihawk as well, that could be really, really important again at this stage. So those Mihawks really did a good shift in the first game. But starting off with a 6K swing with a Magellan into life, trying to force out at least a counter. This is going to be is that an Uta 2K counter?
Yeah, he's eyeing up this. It's a 2, and that's at least twice, maybe 3 times we've seen a 2K when a 1K would have sufficed. There's plenty of 1K in the deck. Your Atmos, your Izzo, your Garp, your Puddin. There's plenty in there. But if you're hitting 2Ks, then that's wonderful, because it means when your opponent desperately needs those 2Ks, they might not be around. Here's a 6K swing from Lim. And I love these tentative swings, because if your opponent's using 2Ks, you know they don't have 1Ks. So either your swing is going through, or they're losing a minimum of a 2K counter.
Yeah, I think Will's going to use the Izo effect here, possibly.
Absolutely, that would work.
Yeah.
Or you could, have they used the leader skill so far? That would be another option.
Not this turn, not yet. Use the Uta for that first attack, so this second attack.
Oh, chooses to take the life.
Yep, takes the life.
But also is activating the Izzo skill, I believe.
No, the leader effect, obviously. When
of course it was when you take a life. Yeah, because it's not on there. My apologies.
Yeah. That's why it's
he
all
pointed
so
at the Izzo.
Yeah, but it's so important. Even this is why Will did this in turn 1 when he was on 2 Dons. Used the Izzo, but also stuck a Don underneath leader.
Yes.
At that point, knowing that if he was to take an early life, he could still at least draw a card.
Now here's a decent swing. We've gone up to 8K swinging with Lim.
Yep.
So that's going to be, you need a 2K and something else. 2K alone won't do here. So you need 3K worth of counter to get out of this.
Yes.
And again, he's pointed to the Izzo. He's clearly thinking about using that Izzo skill.
It's a magic number, isn't it? 2K above your leaders, your opponent's leader's base power. Trying to force out 2 cards out of their hand.
Yeah, that's a crucial thing. If you're 1K above, your opponent can 2K counter and they're fine. If you're 2K above, tie goes to the attacker, so a 2K counter, and then something else will be needed. Maybe it's an event card, maybe it's a leader skill plus a counter, maybe it's 2 cards for a counter. But either way, this is an I'm going after resources play. If I get through the life, brilliant.
Yep.
But mostly here, I'm going after your resources. And it was a Marco blocker in the end that actually saved it, but that's now off the board.
Yep.
Now an Anel is going to swing for 9.
Yep, going for 9. There was just a question there. Did you not, because you drew 2 off the Marco, but obviously he's used his once per turn ability to be able to draw 1 card when he took that life.
Now he does have double I Am Whitebeard in hand, and it looks like he's got the 9 cost red. Oh, so he is actually using one of those as a counter with the leader skill and then dropping an Atama as well. But Atama's another 2K counter. So did he just counter 4 when 3 would have done there?
No, I think we had a 9K swing, so he did need 4.
Okay, he did need the 4. That's fine.
Yep.
But again, you're still forcing out that 4K counter.
Absolutely. But again, Ambi's looking really good here at the moment. You know, he's a dominating position, has got... Obviously, we have seen Will now, obviously, using that Marco to block to be able to draw those 2 cards. So, has got a bit more of a healthier hand, but as we were saying, you know, 1 Don was returned when the Magellan came down on the board earlier on. So, slightly behind where he'd like to be at this point. Does look like there might be a Whitebeard in hand.
He had 2 Iron Whitebeard, the event. 1 got discarded with a leader skill, 1 is in hand.
Yep.
I think I saw the OP02 red Newgate, the 9 cost in hand.
Yep.
I don't know if there's also the blue 10 cost Newgate. I couldn't see. But it looks like that combo is available in some guise or another.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to want to try and deal with this Mihawk as a minimum. Potentially, now might be a time... If he is going to play the I Am Whitebeard and drop a Whitebeard as well, he's probably going to potentially want to think about the Magellan this turn, because if he's got another I Am Whitebeard, which he does... Next turn, he'll still have enough Don, even if he has to go Don -2 to be able to play it again and get another Whitebeard out as well. But the worry is all with knowing your opponent can rest your characters always does worry you.
And
So
that's
even if
happened
you
multiple times.
Yeah, if you drop that Whitebeard blocker, it might not be enough.
No. Well, we are countering out of the Jozu swing to life here, so that's not going through. No life is being taken yet.
So Will now deciding that Jozu swing's gone through, that Don's all available. You're going to have to stick the one Don underneath your leader. I think we are going to see the Iron Whitebeard dropped here.
Does seem like that's what he's eyeing up here.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, if you've got that combo, you want to use in that combo.
Oh, absolutely.
Here comes the Iron Whitebeard, and it does look like we are going to be. It is that red 9 cost, not the blue 10 cost, choosing not to activate the secondary skill. So we get the plus 2k on the leader from the Whitebeard character.
That's correct.
But we don't get the plus 2k on the leader from the event card, choosing not to take that final life to hand. So now we do have a 9k leader swing here, and that is going to go through, take a life from Anvi.
Yep. Had to think about it. Whatever the card was, potentially might have had to trigger this. It could have been.
Okay, so we're passing over. There's no blocker on the board, but you have an 8k leader. So 8k is the minimum you can use to swing at life here.
Yep. But Anvi is in a good place with a decent-sized board. You know, 3 characters, which have got 6k base power. Would require a couple of Don under them each to be able to get a swing through. Does also have that limb character that can swing as well, the 3 cost, which would require 3 Don underneath it.
Okay, so we're popping 1 Don here onto the Mihawk.
Targeting the Jozu here.
Yep, we got 7k. So we cannot swing at life with this, but we can absolutely swing at Jozu. Again, just forcing a counter out here or giving up a decent attacker.
Yep.
Leader skill, no. Giving up the Jozu here, saying that what's in my hand is too valuable for the moment. Doesn't look too happy about that, I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. Feels like Anvi is really putting on the pressure and going, look, I'm just going to keep asking questions. You cannot answer them forever. Now we see 4 Don for a 10k Magellan swing here into an 8k leader. So again, that is 3 above that magic number. So a 2k counter alone will not do it.
Looks like a Red Rock and Uta is going to be using a Red Rock off leader ability and a Uta 2k counter potentially. And then is there another counter in hand?
I thought there was an Atmos in hand, which could be a 1k counter here.
Yeah.
Thought I saw an Atmos.
Yeah, he's just thinking about it here. It's going to be the most optimum way to deal with this swing. So leader ability using the Red Rock, and then
that is that Atmos, yes. That 3k counter will be enough here. And finally getting able to use a 1-cost counter when you need a 1-cost counter and not having to over-counter. Always feels good when you can pull it off that way round. Now Doflamingo comes down, replacing that 1-cost limb, getting a blocker on the board. And it feels like we have, at the end of the turn, Doflamingo restands here. And then, well, that plus 2k goes away from the leader, and it's over to Will.
Smart move there as well, because he knows now that that new gate there, when swinging, is going to be able to just get rid of any character with 3,000 power or less. So that limb would have just been removed. So he's replaced it with the Doflamingo, so he's got a blocker on the board now as well. So big, wide board of bodies that can all swing. You know, you've got 4 characters with 6,000 power and a 5,000 power character, plus your leader. So next turn, looking in a good state, even if you don't have another Mihawk potentially or anything along those lines, you will still have the ability to spread that Don out amongst all of these characters and really apply some pressure.
And that's the thing, doing like a bunch of 7 to 8k swings, you can basically just say, look, I'm going to continually make you counter, make you use your blockers, make you use your resources. And if you've got to do that 5 times a turn every turn, you aren't going to have many resources for long.
Absolutely. And it also forces Will now to aim at either the board, or if he is going to try and go for game here, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult having that blocker on board.
Yeah, we got a 10k new gate, which is going to be swinging here. That lovely OP02 has been so good since release. Have we got event cards? Oh, we have one event card there. We got Judgment of Hell.
Yeah, Don -1.
Minus 3k to 2 characters or leaders. And then do we have, I was going to say, yeah, we need the other -3 on the leader. There we go. So that means that goes away quite nicely.
And
once you make Newgate to a 7k, it's much easier to counter.
Yeah, absolutely. Manages to counter out of that as well, but also pretty much nullifies the attack of that leader if you are now going to be playing another Newgate out with I Am Whitebeard. So, yeah, makes it very difficult here for Will, because that's one less attack coming in now, and which Amvi's been able to deal with.
And you got to keep your Doflamingo blocker, which means next turn, because that Newgate's going to keep swinging, and you don't really have the resources to try and get rid of it.
Absolutely.
So unless you can rest it, you know, on your opponent's turn, which is not that likely, or basically you're just saying, look, I'm going to get rid of it this time, but next time I can block. And I've got 2 or 3 turns where your Newgate's doing nothing, because I can't actually get it off the board. But it's only going to be a couple turns till I win the game, hopefully.
So I think we are going to see the I Am Whitebeard coming down again now.
There we go. Now, is this going to be the giant blocker Whitebeard? Because that would be good. It's not.
Nope.
But this provides a whole different scenario, because now we're going to have an 8k ace again. Picks up the life as well, so it's going to be a 10k leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 7k this turn, but 10k when it goes to your opponent's turn, which is the more interesting scenario.
So it's a +1 at the moment.
But it'll go up to +4 as soon as it goes to Armvi's turn. I like this for Will. This is looking very nice for Will.
He's now made his leader a viable attacker again.
Yes.
So he's going to swing 7. Without putting a Don under it. So leader abilities, well, it depends what he's going to do with this 2 Don, but...
We're going to play an Izzo initially to go and search out a Whitebeard card, but also give an option for, you know, some bit consistency when your opponent attacks. Or goes and searches out a Marco. Can't play it this turn, doesn't have the Don. But next turn, you've got to think that Marco's coming down. We've got 1 Don remaining. And passes the turn, leaving it open, suggesting there's an event card that might be used. Well, we have to be a Radical Beam.
Yeah, Rad Beam's the only sort of viable option here as a 1 Don left open. So you'd expect him to have that in hand, or he could be baiting it.
Well, there's no blocker on the board. And you've only got 1 swing needs to go through. Oh, now it looks like
Well, he's got to. The problem is now he's only really going to have 1 viable attack because the lead is 10k. You want to do your leader ability to potentially play something else out here. So he's going to go really heavy here with 13k swinging to 10.
Hoping that one's going to go through. There's nothing else to attack. The only rested character is a Newgate.
Leader ability.
So we got the counter there with leader ability and the Uta.
Well, leader ability shouldn't have fired off, so I don't know. Was that the other Marco he used?
I thought there was a blocker Marco he used. I don't think he has any other Marco in the deck.
Well, he concedes.
Oh, has he conceded? So that's going to be Lim. So a very quiet end to what was a very exciting game. There's nothing to be done. Lim